I want to thank all the guests for being here. On behalf of Midrash BEN ISH HAI, I would like to welcome all of you and say how happy we are to have you all here. I want to thank the committee that worked so tirelessly for this evening. Let's have a round of applause for them. And I want to thank the honorees about whom we will be speaking a little more in due course. I'd just like to say a few words of why we're here. Tonight, of course, today is the Hillula, the 13th of Elul, of Morenu Rabbeinu, our master, our teacher, Hakham Yosef Hayyim, alav shalom, known often as the Ben Ish Hai, which is the name of one of his famous works. And this is something that I had instilled in me from when I was a child. My father, alav shalom, would be constantly reading, quoting, and basing our lives on the teachings of Hakham Yosef Hayyim, alav shalom, and his work, the Ben Ish Hai, as well as many others. You know, they tell us that tzaddikim, the righteous, even when they passed away, they're not dead. Why are they not dead? Because here we are, we're still living their lives. We're living their Torah, we're living their teachings. And this is what remains. This is what's important. It's like the children. We have children to live on after us, so in that sense we're not dead. Whatever we've instilled in them remains. So too the teachings of a tzaddik remain for generation after generation and after generation. His name itself, his name is Yosef Hayyim. What does it mean? Add life. Hachamim give us life. This is what life is all about. The Rashi Tevot, the acronym of his name, Yosef Hayyim, the Yod and the Het is Hai, which itself means life. You know, sometimes we need to look at what we have from the outside in order to appreciate it. I remember many, many years ago, I was in a Sephardim store in Brooklyn, and there was a Hasidic gentleman next to me. And whenever I'm in a Hasidic, basically anywhere, I was going to say in a bookstore, basically when I'm anywhere, somehow the conversation turns to the Ben Ish Hai. And I don't know why I did over there. Maybe I was looking at his Sepharim or other reasons. And he turns to me and he says, "We are Hasidim of the Ben Ish Hai." What does that mean? It doesn't mean they're the Ben Ish Hai Hasidim or anything like that. It means that they study his works, they learn his works. They're important to them. I want to tell you a story that I read. How Jews, of course, Muslims and Christians respected Hakham Yosef Hayyim alav shalom, the Ben Ish Hai, who we're here to commemorate tonight. There's a story that a gentleman by the name of Reuben Hayyim tells. He says he was a young boy in Baghdad and he used to walk every day from his house to the school. He wasn't even 11 years old when this took place. And he said he would walk past the house of El-Hakham, Beit El-Hakham. You have to know that in Baghdad, from the time of Hakham Yosef Hayyim's grandfather, alav shalom, they were not referred to as Hakham so-and-so, Rabbi so-and-so. They were just El-Hakham, the Hakham. There were very many Hachamim. So normally you would expect when you say the Hakham, well, which one are you talking about? No. If you said the Hakham, everybody knew who it was you were talking about. Now his home, Beit al-Hakham, and his family would be referred to that way, was on the way to this boy's school. And I suppose he paid no notice. Yeah, that's the Hacham's house. He would go up and down every day. He says one day he was walking there and he saw an Arab woman dressed from head to toe in black, carrying, she'd made laban, she'd made yogurt to sell. And she was carrying it to the marketplace. This Arab woman stops at Hakham Yosef Hayyim alav shalom's house. She takes her wares, her merchandise, puts it down, puts her hand on the mezuzah. And she starts praying, and she says, for the zechut, and whatever words she was using in Arabic, of this great Hakham, who is so great, this Hakham of the Jews, she prayed effectively that her son would be cured. Her son wasn't well. And she knew that his prayers worked, tried and tested. And she said that God, for the merit of this amazing righteous individual for whom amazing deeds take place, that for him, God should cure her son. And she made a vow, she made a neder, that if, as had happened to one of her neighbors, apparently who had somebody who wasn't well, and through Hakham Yosef Hayyim became well, she said if her son would become well, she promised that she would take meals to the orphans in the school, the Jewish orphans in the school. She then bent down after kissing the mezuzah, kissed the doorstep of Hakham Yosef Hayyim, took some of the earth and sprinkled on herself, and started going on her way. And she saw the boy. And she went up to him and she said, every day when you walk past here, make sure that you kiss this mezuzah, because great blessings will come to you if you do that. This is an Arab woman, a Muslim woman. He said that affected him for the rest of his life. Sometimes we need to see that. We take what we have for granted. We don't realize what it is, what kind of a gem we have, till others show you how much they appreciate it. And that's what she did. She promised that she would bring kosher food to the orphans in the school. Midrash BEN ISH HAI is devoted to his teachings. As I said, it was something that was instilled in me from when I was a child. And I want you to know his teachings were accepted far and wide. In the Sephardi world, certainly, but he was highly respected in the Ashkenazi world. He corresponded with Rabbanim throughout the world. But his psak was accepted from Iraq to Iran, from China to Morocco. I was reading the other day in one of the works of Hakham Yosef Shalom, where he says that in one of the works of, or maybe not one of the works, he told him personally, or it wasn't one of his works, I don't recall, I read it, that in one of the works of Hakham Raphael Baruch Talidano, who was Moroccan, he says, Minhag Morocco is not to turn left or right from what Hakham Yosef Hayyim Alav Shalom said. In a time today where it has become popular to find new ways, do things differently. We're Jewish, yes, we're Sephardi, yes, we're whatever, but yeah, but we're the new style. We are committed to the way we used to do things. My father and your father did things a certain way, the same way as their father did, the same way that their father did. For generation after generation after generation, we, the Jewish people, did things as much as we possibly could. Sometimes change has to happen, but as much as we possibly could, the way it was always done. Today it's become popular. Oh, I see a new minhag here, I like that, let me take it on. We're not committed to that. We're committed to doing things the way we always did. You know, one thing comes to mind in the month of Elul, always brings us to mind how things are changing so rapidly nowadays. 20 years ago, most of the Sephardi synagogues that I went into in the month of Elul did not blow the shofar, in accordance with the customs of the majority of Sephardi. Today, the majority of them are blowing. It's just a small example, but an example nevertheless of how change is happening and happening rapidly. But we, as I mentioned, are devoted to his teachings and keeping things the way Jews did for generation after generation and after generation. It was good for us then, and it'll be good for us now. It is our privilege tonight to honor those who are involved in spreading his teachings in whatever manner that is. I'd just like to briefly mention the people we're honoring. I believe we'll speak more about it afterwards, and certainly we will hear from them directly. In alphabetical order, Mrs. Alice Aboudi. A very special lady, and not just because she is related herself and through marriage to Hakham Yosef Hayyim, but also because our traditions, and that sometimes, people use the word traditions, they don't really know what it means, but who we are and what we are is very, very important to her. And for that reason, it is our honor to be able to honor her for furthering the name of Hakham Yosef Hayyim. Next in the alphabetical list is the Basaleli family, specifically it is in tribute to the memory of a most wonderful individual and human being, Baba Jan Basaleli alav shalom, who those of us who met him miss him dearly, as do the family obviously. A very special man who imparted that special character to his children and grandchildren, and no doubt it continues into his great-grandchildren. He was always happy to come to us because I believe he felt that this was how it should be. This is how he remembered it was. And his family, ever since that time, quite some years ago now, have supported our goals and our endeavors in furthering the teachings of the Ben Ish Hai. And I'm, again, deeply indebted that we're able to honor him and his family tonight. Last, but by no means least, Mr. and Mrs. Shakala Motahede. It means a lot to have them with us here tonight. Again, this is a family, a very, very fine family all around. And it is a family that appreciates how things were, meaning not looking to the past, but understanding that the past is our future. That's the whole point. Our future is the way it always was. Coming out with new ideas sometimes is a recipe for disaster. And they, again, we've known them for very many years, have, because of their faith and understanding and belief in what we do and the goals of the Ben Ish Hai, when he wrote all the works that he did, have been wonderful supporters of ours, and we thank them also. In thanking all those who made this evening possible, there is one person I cannot forget to mention. There's a lot going on in my family's life at the moment, and it takes up a lot of our time. So, an undertaking like this is very major and takes up an immense effort and an immense amount of time. My wife, for whom Torah and the teachings of Hakham Yosef Hayyim alav shalom are so very, very important, came to me one day and said, we have to do it. For the honor of Al-Hakham, we have to do it. I said, there's not very much time left. She says, this is something we have to do. I'm looking for her article in here. If anyone knows where it is and wants to bring it to me, that'll be fine. I have it. She said the following. She said, Nearly 3 months ago, if you think I'm making this up, you can read the journal, you'll see I'm telling the truth. We gathered for our first meeting, planning this event, with our dedicated committee members. It seemed almost impossible to bring to fruition such an evening of inspiration, celebrating the 105th Hillula of Hakham Yosef Hayyim alav shalom, and a beautiful dinner for Midrash BEN ISH HAI. The meeting started with the following words: in the name of God, we will do and we will succeed. B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'nasliach. With the picture of Hakham Yosef Hayyim alav shalom facing us. She says, I feel truly blessed to have the zichut, the merit, to take part in the holy, rich, and deep teachings of Hakham Yosef Hayyim alav hashalom. There is no question that it is the zichut of this great sage that brings us here today. In a very short amount of time, with a superhuman effort by many, many people, and I thank you all. I have one request. This wonderful young lady who was the inspiration of holding tonight's event needs your prayers. I think her name is in here. In any case, I think you all know it's yesterday's Ruth Bat Ahuba. If, when you're praying for your loved ones, hopefully nobody needs it, but anyone who needs prayers in the Jewish nation, please, I would ask you to include her. Anyway, I thank you all for coming. We still have a long program ahead of us, a full and exciting program. So enough of me, and I'll turn the microphone over to Rabbi Simon. Thank you all for coming, and God bless you all.